Pay the bill and stay away from us. Those were the words that ended my place in my son's life. 7 words. Sharp as glass. Spoken by my daughter-in-law Emily across a table full of New Year's Eve champagne and cold prime rib. 14 people heard it. 14 people went silent. 14 people watched me sit there with my hand frozen over my water glass. The restaurant was the Golden Lily on East Colfax. The jazz band in the corner was playing Auld Lang Syne too early. The candlelight flickered across Emily's $3,000 diamond bracelet. The one I helped Mark pick out last Christmas. The one she now twisted around her wrist like she was trying to snap it. I looked at my son. Mark stared at his plate. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He never met my eyes anymore. Not since Emily started cutting me out piece by piece. First Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then Sophie's birthday, then every Tuesday phone call, then every Sunday dinner, then everything. Did you hear me, Martha? Emily's voice cut through the band's saxophone solo. The check. Pay it. Then leave. We're done. My granddaughter Sophie, 5 years old, tugged Emily's sleeve. Mommy, why is Grandma leaving? Shush, sweetie. Emily never looked down at her. Adults are talking. I looked at Sophie. She had Mark's eyes. My eyes. She was the only reason I still came to these things. The only reason I let Emily humiliate me. For Sophie's birthday. For Sophie's school play. For Sophie's recital. I'd sit in the back row and pretend the cold looks didn't matter. But tonight was different. The bill sat in the center of the table. $437. Emily had already asked the waiter to bring it. She'd planned this. She'd planned to humiliate me in front of everyone at exactly 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I looked at my wallet. Cracked leather. 15 years old. Inside, emergency money. $312. All the cash I had until my next Social Security check. I pulled out $437 in crumpled 20s and 10s. I counted it out on the white tablecloth. The bills left little smudges. My hands were shaking, but I didn't stop. I stacked the money in neat piles. 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s. There, I said. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. Paid in full. Emily's mouth hung open. She hadn't expected me to have it. She'd expected me to cry, to beg, to make a scene. I'd done all those things before. Not tonight. I stood up. My knees cracked. I grabbed my gray wool coat from the back of the chair, the one with the loose button. I pulled it on. I didn't look at Mark. I didn't look at Derek. I didn't look at Patricia, who was crying silently. I looked at Sophie. Grandma has to go, sweetheart. Will you come back? No, baby. I bent down and kissed her forehead. Strawberry shampoo and soap. I memorized it. I won't. Mark stood up. Mom. Please don't. I walked out. The door shut behind me. The cold hit my face like ice water. I sat in my 2008 Honda Civic for 15 minutes. My hands gripped the steering wheel. I didn't cry. I'd run out of tears 3 years ago. I just sat there. My phone buzzed. Mark's text. She didn't mean it. Please come back. I didn't answer. Another buzz. Derek. That was horrible. I'm so sorry. I didn't answer. At 7:45, I drove home. My apartment on Colfax smelled like old carpet and cheap cleaner. I turned the heat up to 68. I made tea. I sat on the couch. The TV played New Year's coverage. Sequin dresses and fake smiles. I turned the volume off. At 11:30, my phone rang. Mark again. I let it go to voicemail. At 11:45, Emily called. I didn't answer. At 11:55, the ball dropped in Times Square. Confetti. Kissing. Champagne. Happy New Year. At midnight, my phone rang again. Emily. I picked up. Martha. Her voice was different. Thin. Scared. Crying. Martha, you have to listen to me. Something's wrong. My purse. My black purse. It was under the table. I can't find it. You took it. You grabbed it with your coat. Please tell me you have it. I don't have your purse, Emily. Please. Please just look. In your car. In your apartment. You must have it. I know you didn't mean to take it. I know that. Just bring it back. I'll do anything. I'll apologize. I'll apologize for everything. I'll pay you back for dinner. I'll do whatever you want. Just tell me you have it. Her voice was pure terror. Not annoyance. Not anger. Terror. I'd never heard her afraid before. Why do you need it so badly? It has important things. Documents. My checkbook. Business things. I heard a sound in the background. A man's voice. Muffled. Saying something I couldn't make out. Emily said, "She doesn't have it, I know she doesn't. But if she wait."
Wait.
I found it. It fell under the seat in the car.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Happy New Year, Martha. She hung up. I stared at the phone. But I'd heard that voice in the background. I'd known that voice for 15 years. Robert. Mark's business partner. The man who had been at the same table with his wife just hours earlier. Why was Robert with Emily at midnight? My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. A photo. The photo showed a hotel receipt. Grand Hyatt Denver. Last Tuesday. Robert Johnson's name. A charge for $287. And at the bottom, handwritten in blue pen, room 814. Underneath the receipt, a message. Check your car. Passenger seat. Emily dropped this. I didn't sleep. I went out to the parking lot at 4 in the morning. The frost was thick on the windows. I scraped it off. I opened the passenger door. Nothing. I felt under the seat. My fingers touched paper. I pulled it out. The receipt from the photo. Grand Hyatt. Room 814. Robert's name. Emily's phone number written on the back. I drove to the Grand Hyatt at 5 a.m. The clerk at the front desk was young. Tired. I walked up to him and placed the receipt on the counter. I found this, I said. It belongs to a friend. But I'm not sure she stayed here. Could you confirm if Robert Johnson checked into room 814 last Tuesday? He looked at me. Old woman. Gray coat. Shaking hands. He didn't want to help me. But he also didn't want trouble. He typed into his computer. Then he froze. His eyes went wide. He looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "this room was paid for by your son, Mark Davis. It's under his card." I walked out of the hotel, without saying another word. My feet carried me to the car. My hands didn't shake anymore. My mind was clear. Crystal clear. Mark didn't know about the affair. Mark didn't know about Robert. Robert was having an affair with Emily. And Mark was paying for the hotel rooms. Not Robert. Mark. Because Robert was his business partner. Because Robert handled the accounts. Because Mark signed every check, made every payment, trusted every document. Emily wasn't just cheating on my son. She was using his money to do it. I sat in my car in the Grand Hyatt parking lot and watched the sun come up over Denver. Gray dawn. New Year's Day. The first day of the rest of my life. And I knew exactly what I was going to do. My phone rang. "Mark, Mom." His voice was hoarse, like he'd been crying. "Can you please come over, Emily? And I need to talk to you. It's important." "Where are you?" "At the house. We've been up all night. We need to see you." I looked at the hotel receipt in my hand. At the name on the reservation. My son's name. Paying for his wife to sleep with his partner. "I'll be there in 40 minutes. I said. I hung up. I started the car. I drove to Mark's house. I knew exactly what I was walking into. They'd found the receipt. They knew I had it. And they were going to try to stop me. But I had something they didn't have. The truth. And the truth was about to walk through their front door. I pulled into Mark's driveway at 6:47 a.m. The sun was up, but the sky was still that thin Denver winter gray. The house looked the same as always. 2-story brick. White trim. A wreath still on the front door. Pine needles dropping onto the porch. I'd helped Mark pick out that wreath 3 years ago. Before Emily. Before everything changed. The front door opened before I could knock. Mark stood there. His eyes were red. His shirt was untucked. He looked like he'd been awake for 24 hours, which he probably had. Behind him, in the living room, I could see Emily sitting on the couch. She was wearing a silk robe. Her hair was a mess. Her face was paled. "Mom." Mark's voice cracked. "Thank you for coming." I didn't have a choice, did I? I walked past him into the house. The heat hit me. They kept the house at 74 degrees. I knew because I'd paid their electric bill once when Mark was between jobs. He never knew I did that. Emily never knew either. I'd done it quietly, the way I did everything for my son. Emily stood up when I walked in. She looked smaller than she did at the restaurant. Less powerful, less certain. Her hands were clasped in front of her like she was praying. Martha. Her voice was thin. I want to apologize. What I said last night was unforgivable. I was wrong. I was tired. I was stressed. It's no excuse. But I'm sorry. I didn't sit down. I stood in the middle of the living room and looked at her. Then I looked at Mark. He was standing behind her, almost like he was protecting her. That made me want to laugh. But I didn't. You called me at midnight, I said. You said I took your purse. You sounded scared. Not angry.
Scared.
Why were you so scared? Emily's face went through something. A flicker. A tiny crack in the mask she'd worn for 3 years. I told you. Important documents. I was worried about identity theft. Interesting. I pulled the receipt from my coat pocket. I held it up. I found this in my car, under the passenger seat. It fell out of your purse when you grabbed it from under the table, didn't it? You didn't lose your purse in the restaurant. You dropped the receipt. And I found it. Emily's face went white. Mark stepped forward. What is that, Mom? Ask your wife. Mark took the receipt from my hand. He read it. His face was so still it looked like stone. Then he looked up at Emily. What is this? Why does it have Robert's name on it? Why does it have my credit card number? I didn't authorize this. It's a business expense, Emily said quickly. Robert needed a room for a client. He used your card because his was maxed. He was going to pay you back. Last Tuesday, Robert was supposed to be in Arizona last Tuesday. You told me he was in Arizona. Mark's voice was rising. You told me he was out of town. I handled the meeting solo. I was at the office until 11. And you were home with Sophie. Emily's eyes darted to me, like I was the enemy, like this was my fault. Robert came back early. He needed a room. That's all. Then why is your phone number on the back? I asked, silenced. Mark looked at the receipt again. He turned it over. He saw Emily's handwriting on the back. I watched his face change. It was like watching a building collapse. Slow at first, then all at once to Emily. His voice was quiet. Dangerously quiet. Why is your phone number on the back of a hotel receipt for Robert's room? I wrote it down for him. For the concierge. They needed a contact number. The concierge, Mark laughed. It was a hollow sound. The concierge at the Grand Hyatt needed your personal cell number. Why would a hotel concierge need your cell number to call Robert? Emily didn't answer. I know the truth, I said. I know because I went to the hotel this morning. The clerk confirmed it. The room was in your name, Mark. Your credit card. Your reservation. You paid for Robert to have a room. But Robert wasn't there alone. Emily was there. In that room. Last Tuesday. Emily's face crumpled. Not into tears. Into something harder. Something colder. The mask was gone. What was underneath wasn't shame. It was calculation. I could see her thinking. I could see her trying to find a way out. You went to the hotel. Emily's voice was flat. You went through my things. You followed me. That's stalking, Martha. That's harassment. I can have you arrested. For what? For finding a receipt that fell out of your purse in my own car. Good luck with that. Mark stepped between us. His hands were shaking. Is it true? Emily, is it true? I'm not going to answer that, she said. Answer me. Mark. Emily's voice was ice. Think about this. Think about what you're accusing me of. I have been your wife for 5 years. I gave you a daughter. I run your household. I manage your social life. I entertain your business partners. And this is how you treat me based on a piece of paper your pathetic mother found in her car. My pathetic mother. I'd been called a lot of things over the years. Pathetic was new, but I didn't rise to it. I'd learned to let her words slide off me like water. Stop, Mark said. Stop talking about her like that. She's my mother. Your mother, who can't let go. Your mother who shows up at every event like a stray dog looking for scraps. Your mother who can't accept that you're a grown man with a family of your own. She's been poisoning you against me for years, Mark. Years. And now she's finally succeeded. You're the one who's been poisoning everything, I said. Not me.
You.
You told him I was overwhelming. You told him I was obsessive. You told him I was a bad influence. You didn't want me there. You didn't want any of us there. You wanted him all to yourself. And he let you. Because I'm his wife. You're his wife. I'm his mother. There's room for both of us. You made sure there wasn't. You made sure he had to choose.
And he chose you.
Every time. I accepted that. I accepted my place. But I won't accept you cheating on him. I won't accept you using his money to do it. And I won't accept you pretending I'm the problem. Mark turned away from both of us. He walked to the window. His back was to us. His shoulders were shaking. Not crying. Shaking from anger. I'd seen that posture 100 times. When his father died. When his dog died. When his marriage was dying. He'd stand at the window and shake and say nothing. Mark. Emily walked toward him. Look at me. I can explain everything. Just let me explain. He didn't turn around, and I should have left. I should have gotten in my car and driven home and let them sort it out. That would have been the smart thing. The dignified thing. But I'd been dignified for 3 years. I'd been quiet for 3 years. I'd taken every insult, every snub, every Christmas I wasn't invited to, every birthday I found out about after the fact. And what had it gotten me? Nothing. The same nothing I'd always had. Mark. I walked closer. I'm not the enemy here. I know you think I am. I know Emily has been telling you I'm trying to pull you away from her. But I'm not. I have proof. And you need to see it. Proof of what? Emily's voice was a shriek. What proof? You have a piece of paper.
A receipt.
That's it. That's all you have. I have more than that. I reached into my pocket again. I pulled out my phone. I opened the text from the unknown number. The photo of the receipt. The message. Check your car. Passenger seat. Emily dropped this. Mark turned around. He took my phone. He stared at the screen. I can explain who sent that, Emily said. It's a setup. Someone is trying to destroy our marriage. Who? Mark asked. Who would set this up? I don't know. Someone who hates me. Someone who wants to hurt us. Maybe Patricia. Maybe Linda. Maybe she stopped. Maybe Linda. Mark's voice went cold. Robert's wife. Why would Linda want to hurt us? Emily's mouth opened. No words came out. Robert is your business partner, I said. We've known him and Linda for 15 years. 15 years. He was at our wedding. He was at your baby shower. He was at Sophie's christening. And you're sleeping with him. In hotel rooms my son is paying for. Robert and I have a professional relationship. Don't. Mark's voice broke the word in half. Don't you dare. Robert is my partner. My friend. I trusted him with everything. My money. My business. My family. And you've been. How long has this been going on? Emily didn't answer. Answer me. 6 months. Her voice was barely a whisper. 6 months. After the business trip to Chicago. It just happened. 6 months. Mark grabbed the mantelpiece. His knuckles were white. 6 months. I've been living with you. Sleeping next to you. Raising Sophie with you. And you were 6 months. I didn't mean for it to happen, Emily said. She started crying. Real tears this time. But I'd been a woman long enough to know how fake tears sounded. These were real. But real tears don't mean real remorse. It just happened. Robert understood me. He listened to me. You were always so busy. Always working. Always at the office. I felt alone. So you slept with Robert. In hotels I paid for.
I'm sorry.
Mark, I'm so sorry. I'll end it. I'll end it right now. Just give me another chance. Please. Mark looked at me. His face was wrecked. He looked like he'd just been hit by a car.
Mom.
I don't know what to do. Your marriage is your marriage, I said. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I'm going to tell you what I found. And what I found is that Robert is stealing from you. Stealing. Robert is your accountant. He handles your finances. Your personal accounts. Your business accounts. He controls everything.
I know that, Mark said.
I trust him. Don't. I pulled out the second piece of paper. The hotel receipt from the Grand Hyatt wasn't the only thing I found in my car. There was something else. A small piece of paper tucked into my coat pocket that I didn't remember putting there. I'd found it this morning when I was getting dressed.
It was a bank statement.
A personal bank statement from an account in Robert's name. But the money wasn't Robert's. It was Mark's. I could see the deposits.
$32,000.
Then $40,000. Then $50,000. All withdrawn from Mark's business account over the last 6 months. All transferred to Robert's personal account. I'd found it in my pocket, folded small, like someone had put it there on purpose. Someone who wanted me to find it. Someone who wanted this to come out. Look at this, I said. I handed it to Mark. This is a statement from Robert's personal account. The deposits are transfers from your business account. He's been skimming money for 6 months. At least. Maybe longer. Mark stared at the paper. His face went from white to gray. This is almost $200,000. How did he hide this from me? He didn't. He just had control. You gave him control. And you never checked. Because I trusted him. He was my partner. My best friend. I trusted him. Trust is good, I said. But checking is better. And you never checked. Emily was backing away toward the kitchen. Her eyes were darting between Mark and me and the paper. She knew what that paper meant. She knew what was coming. You knew about this, Mark said. He looked at his wife with something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Hatred.
Pure un dilute d'hatred.
You knew he was stealing from me. You were sleeping with him. You knew. I didn't know about the money, Emily said quickly. I swear. I didn't know. You knew about the affair. You knew he was my partner. You knew he had access to my accounts. You had to know. You're not stupid. I didn't ask him about the money, Emily said. I didn't want to know. He told me our marriage was over. He told me you had problems. He told me you were never around. He said you didn't love me. Robert said that Robert told you I didn't love you. It's not true. I know it's not true. But I believed him because I wanted to. I wanted to believe it. I was so lonely, Mark. So lonely. My son made a sound I'd never heard before. It was somewhere between a sob and a scream. I'd heard that sound once before, in the hospital room where my husband died. It was the sound of a human being breaking in half. Get out, Mark said. Get out of my house. Martha. Emily looked at me. This is your fault. You did this. You destroyed my marriage. My family. Sophie's family. You've wanted this for 3 years. You wanted to punish me for taking your son away. And now you've done it. Congratulations. I didn't destroy anything, I said. You did that yourself. I just showed him the truth. Mom. Mark walked toward me. His eyes were wet. His hands were shaking. I need to call Robert. I need to call the police. I need to do something. I don't know what to do first. Call Robert, I said. Then call your lawyer. Then call the police. In that order. Who sent you that text, the one with the photo? I don't know. I looked at my phone. The number was still unknown. No one in my contacts. No one I recognized. Someone who wanted this to happen. Maybe Robert's wife. Maybe someone else. It's Linda, Emily said. I know it's Linda. She found out about us. She's been following me. Watching me. She planted those things in your car. She wanted you to find them. She didn't have to plant anything, I said. You dropped the receipt yourself. I didn't even know you were at the hotel. I didn't know anything until you called me. Your own fear gave you away. Mark looked at his wife one more time. I could see the memories going through his eyes. Their wedding. Sophie's birth. The house they'd bought together. The future they'd planned. All of it burning down in front of him. Emily. Leave. Now. Take your things. Take your car. I want you gone before Sophie wakes up. What about Sophie? You're not taking her. She stays with me. You can see her on supervised visits. But you're not taking her out of this house. Not today. Martha. Emily turned to me. Please. I have nowhere to go. My parents live in Ohio. I don't have friends here. I don't have any money. You have Robert. He doesn't want me. He's married. He's not going to leave his wife. He told me that. He said it was temporary. Then call your parents, I said. Call your sister.
Call anyone.
But you're not staying here. My son needs space. He needs time to think. And he can't do that with you in the house. Emily started screaming.
Full. Shrieking.
The kind of screaming that would wake the neighbors. You can't do this to me. You can't throw me out. This is my house. I have rights. I have a daughter. You can't take my daughter. Sophie's voice came from the top of the stairs. Mommy, Daddy, what's happening? Mark's face went back to stone. He walked to the stairs and looked up at his daughter. Go back to bed, Sophie. It's still early. Everything's fine. But everything wasn't fine.
Nothing was fine.
And everyone in that house knew it. I looked at the clock.
7:34 a.m.
New Year's Day. The first day of a new year. And my son's life had just collapsed in front of me. I did what I should have done 3 years ago. I walked to the front door. I opened it. I stepped outside into the cold January air. Then I turned and looked at Emily one more time. Happy New Year, I said that, and I walked to my car and drove away. I didn't go home. I drove to the diner on Colfax where I used to take the boys after their Little League games. It was still there. Same cracked vinyl booths. Same coffee that tasted like burnt pennies. Same waitress with the name tag that said, Dottie, and the smoker's cough. I sat in the back booth and ordered black coffee. My hands were steady now. Too steady. Like the calm after storm. I knew what I'd done. I'd set a bomb under my son's life and walked away. And I didn't feel bad. That was the part that scared me. My phone buzzed.
Mark.
I answered, Mom. His voice was hollow. I called Robert. He admitted everything. The affair. The money. Everything. Are you okay? No. I'm not okay. I'm never going to be okay. But I needed to tell you. You were right. About all of it. I should have listened to you 3 years ago. You would have listened 3 years ago, I asked. Would you really? Silence on his end. Then no. Probably not. I was in love with her. I thought she was everything. I thought she could do no wrong. Love makes you blind, I said. I know. I was in love with your father. I didn't see the signs either. What signs? I took a breath. This was the part I'd never told anyone. Not my friends. Not my sisters. Not even Frank while he was alive. But it was time. Your father wasn't always faithful. There were women. Not many, but some. I found out after he died. Letters. Phone numbers. Hotel receipts. Just like the one I found tonight. Mark was silent for a long moment. Then, Dad cheated on you. He was sick for 3 years. I nursed him. I held his hand when he died. I never told him I knew. I never confronted him. I just carried it. For 15 years. I carried it because I loved him. And because I didn't want to blow up our family. But I've been thinking about that a lot lately. About what I would have done differently. What would you have done? I would have left. Not because I didn't love him, but because I deserved better. And so do you. Mark started crying. Not the silent shaking I'd seen in his living room. Real crying. Ugly crying. The kind that comes from somewhere deep in your chest. I don't know what to do, he said. The business is gone. Robert drained the accounts. I have no money. I have no business. I have nothing. You have Sophie. You have me. And you have a good lawyer. You're going to be fine.
It's going to take time.
But you're going to be fine. I hung up. I drank my coffee. The diner was quiet. Only a few customers. Truck drivers. Night shift workers. People who had nowhere else to be on New Year's Day. Dottie came over and refilled my cup. You look like you've been through something, honey. I have. Want to talk about it? No. But thanks. She nodded and walked away.
You what's its heckle?
She was 65 if she was a day. Still working. Still pouring coffee. Still wearing that faded pink uniform that was probably older than my son. I thought about what I'd told Mark. About leaving. About deserving better. I'd said those words to him, but I hadn't said them to myself. Not once. In the 3 years since Frank died, I'd been living in the same apartment, driving the same car, wearing the same clothes. I'd been existing, not living. Surviving, not thriving. And I'd been letting Emily and Mark treat me like I didn't matter. Like I was an obligation. A burden. An inconvenience. I'd accepted that role because I didn't know how to be anything else, but now I knew that I pulled out my phone. I opened the text from the unknown number. The photo of the receipt. The message. Check your car. Passenger seat. Emily dropped this. I called the number. It went straight to voicemail. A woman's voice. Familiar. I knew that voiced, Linda. It's Martha. I know it's you. Call me. I hung up. I waited. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. Martha. Linda's voice was tired. Worn down. Like she'd been crying for months. How did you know? Because you're the only person in that room who would have seen Emily drop the receipt. And the only person who wanted to expose her. You've known about the affair for a while, haven't you? 6 months. Linda laughed. It was a bitter sound. 6 months I've been watching them. Following them. Taking pictures. I have a folder. A big folder. Hotel receipts. Credit card statements. Text messages. I was waiting for the right moment to use it. Why tonight? Because I was done. Done with the lies. Done with the humiliation. Done with my husband looking at me like I was invisible. I knew Emily was going to attack you at dinner. I knew she was going to humiliate you. I saw the check in her purse before we even sat down. So, I made sure you found the receipt. I put it in your car myself. While you were in the restaurant. I closed my eyes. So that's how it happened. I hadn't imagined it. I hadn't misremembered. Linda had planted the evidence in my car. Why me? I asked. Why didn't you just confront them yourself? Because I'm a coward. And because I knew you wouldn't let it go. You've been fighting for your son for 3 years. You're strong. Stronger than me. I knew you'd do what I couldn't. I opened my eyes. The diner was still quiet. Dottie was wiping the counter. The coffee had gone cold. Linda, where are you? At a motel. I left Robert last night. After dinner. I packed a bag. And I left. I'm never going back. Good for you. I have the folder. All the evidence. Everything I've collected. I want to give it to you. Use it however you want. Against Robert. Against Emily. For Mark. For yourself. I don't care. I just want it out of my hands. Where are you staying? The Red Lantern Motel on Federal Boulevard. Room 112. Come whenever you want. I'll be here. She hung up. I sat in the diner for another 30 minutes. I thought about Linda. I thought about Robert. I thought about Emily. I thought about Mark. And I thought about myself. The 60-year-old woman who had been invisible for 3 years. The woman who had let her daughter-in-law treat her like garbage. The woman who had driven a 2008 Honda and worn a gray wool coat with a loose button and never said a word. I paid for my coffee and left Dottie a $10 tip. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. I drove to the Red Lantern Motel. It was a sad place. Neon sign flickering. Parking lot full of potholes. The kind of place where people went to disappear. Room 112 was at the end of the building. I knocked. Linda opened the door. She looked terrible. Her eyes were puffy. Her hair was unwashed. She was wearing the same dress from last night, only now it was wrinkled and stained. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week.
Come in.
She stepped aside. The room was small.
A bed.
A TV. A dresser with a lamp on top. A manila folder sat on the bed, thick and stuffed with papers. That's it, Linda said. Everything. Bank statements. Hotel receipts. Credit card transactions. Text messages. Emails. Photos. I have photos of them together. In restaurants. In hotels. In parking lots. I have a video of them kissing in Robert's car. Did you show any of this to Robert? No. I wanted to, but I was afraid. Afraid he'd leave me. Afraid he'd take the kids. Afraid I'd be alone. So, I just waited. And took more pictures. And waited some more. How did you find out? His phone. He left it on the kitchen counter. A text came in from Emily. It said, I miss you. When can I see you again? I opened it. I read the whole conversation. Months of it. He was telling her he loved her. That he was going to leave me. That they were going to be together. And she was telling him the same things. I sat down on the edge of the bed. The mattress sagged. The springs creaked.
I'm sorry, Linda.
Don't be. She sat down next to me. I knew he was cheating. I suspected it for a long time. I just didn't want to admit it. But I'm done pretending now. I'm done being the good wife. The quiet wife. The wife who pretends everything is fine. I looked at the folder. I didn't open it. Not yet. What do you want me to do with this? Whatever you want.
Use it to help Mark.
Use it to destroy Robert. Use it to destroy Emily. I don't care. I just want it gone. I want to move on. Do you have a lawyer? No. Get one. A good one. You're going to need one. Robert is going to try to take everything. The house. The kids. The money. You need to be ready. Linda laughed again. That same bitter laugh. He can take it.
I don't want any of it.
I just want to be free. Free is good, I said. But free and broke is harder. Take the money. Take the house. Take everything you can. You earned it. You stood by him for 15 years. You deserve it. She looked at me. Her eyes were wet. You sound like you've been through this before. Not exactly, but I've been through something similar. And I know what it feels like to start over. To have nothing. To feel like your whole life has been a lie. Is it worth it starting over? I thought about my apartment. My car. My empty refrigerator.
My phone that rarely rang.
I thought about the 3 years I'd spent waiting for Mark to call, waiting for Sophie to visit, waiting for my life to change. Yes, I said. It's worth it, because the only thing worse than starting over is staying where you are. I took the folder. I stood up. I walked to the door. Then I turned back. Linda, thank you for putting that receipt in my car. You did the right thing. I don't know if it was the right thing, she said, but it was the only thing I could think of. I drove home with the folder on my passenger seat. I didn't open it. Not while I was driving. Not while I was in the parking lot. I took it upstairs to my apartment. I locked the door. I sat on my couch. I opened it. The first thing I saw was a photograph. Emily and Robert. At a restaurant. Their faces were close together. They were smiling. Happy. Looking at each other like they were the only two people in the world. The date on the photo was from 6 months ago. The week of the Chicago trip that I looked at Emily's face. She was wearing the same expression she'd worn at Mark's wedding. Hopeful. Excited. In love. But the love wasn't for Mark. It was for Robert. That I flipped through the folder. Bank statements. Robert's and Emily's. I saw transactions that didn't make sense. Large cash withdrawals. Transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Credit card charges at hotels, restaurants, jewelry stores. Emily had been spending Mark's money on luxury items while Robert was siphoning Mark's business accounts. I did the math. In 6 months, Robert had stolen over $200,000 from Mark's business. And Emily had helped him spend some of it. Hotel rooms. Dinners. Gifts. She was bought and paid for with her own husband's money. My hands started shaking again. Not from sadness. Not from anger. From something else. The sheer audacity of it. They had been living a double life. Right under Mark's nose. Right under everyone's noses. And they would have gotten away with it if Emily hadn't dropped that receipt. But she did drop it. And I found it. And Linda made sure I found it. I closed the folder. I looked at the clock. 10:47 a.m. The day was still young. The year was still young. And my son needed me. I called Mark. He answered on the first ring. Mom. I talked to the lawyer. He says we have a strong case. The evidence is solid. But he needs more. He needs proof of the affair. He needs something concrete. I have it, I said. I have everything. Pictures. Receipts. Bank statements. I have proof that Robert stole from you, and Emily helped him spend it. How did you get all that, Linda? Robert's wife. She's been collecting evidence for 6 months. She gave it to me. All of it. Mark was quiet for a moment. Then, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to thank you. You've done more for me in the last 12 hours than I've done for myself in 3 years. You don't need to thank me.
You're my son.
I'll always fight for you. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm sorry I let Emily push you away. I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't wanted. You don't need to apologize either. You were in love. You trusted her. That's not a crime. The crime is what she did with that trust. I could hear him breathing on the other end, sniffling, trying not to cry. Mom, can you come over? I need you here. I can't do this alone. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I hung up. I put the folder in my bag. I grabbed my coat. The loose button on the sleeve caught on the door handle. It tore off and rolled under the couch. I didn't pick it up. I walked to my car. The engine started. The check engine light was still on. The heater still didn't work. But the car was moving. And so was I. I drove to Mark's house. He was waiting on the porch. Sophie was next to him, holding his hand. She looked confused.
Scared. But she was okay.
That's all that mattered. I parked. I got out. I walked up to them. Sophie ran to me and wrapped her arms around my legs. Grandma, Daddy said you might be coming. I'm so happy you're here. I bent down and hugged her. She smelled like strawberry shampoo. I remembered that smell from last night. I'd memorized it then. I'd thought I'd never smell it again. But here she was. Here I was. Grandma, Sophie said. Mommy left this morning. She was crying. Where did she go? I looked at Mark. His face was pale but steady. He nodded. He wanted me to tell her. Mommy is somewhere else right now, sweetheart. She needs some time to think, but you're going to stay here with Daddy for a while. And Grandma is going to come visit you. As much as you want. Promise, promise. I looked at Mark. He was crying again. Silent tears. The kind that don't make sound but leave tracks down your face. I walked up to him and put my arms around him.
He was taller than me.
He'd been taller than me since he was 16. But in that moment he felt like a little boy again. I've got you, I said. I'm not going anywhere. And for the first time in 3 years, I meant it. I stayed at Mark's house for 3 days. The first day was chaos. Mark spent hours on the phone with lawyers, with the police, with the bank. Robert had frozen the business accounts. The payroll was due in 2 weeks. There was no money. The house was in both their names, but Emily had already called a lawyer of her own. She was fighting for half. She was fighting for Sophie. She was fighting for everything. I made meals. I took Sophie to school. I cleaned the kitchen. I did the laundry. I did all the things Emily used to do, the things Mark had no idea how to do. He'd never had to. She'd always handled the house, the child, the daily rhythm of life. Now she was gone, and Mark was drowning. At day 2, Mark got a call from the bank. The accounts had been flagged. There was an investigation. Robert had been arrested. Not for the affair. That wasn't a crime. For embezzlement. $237,000. The bank had tracked it all. Robert had used Mark's signature. Forged it. On multiple documents. The police were involved. Mark told me on the back porch. He was holding a cup of coffee. His hands were shaking. He's going to jail, Mark said. The lawyer says he'll do at least 3 years. Maybe 5. They're talking about federal charges. How do you feel about that? Relieved. And angry. And sad. All at once. He was my best friend. We started the business together. I trusted him with everything. And he threw it all away. For what? For her, for money. He had everything. And he threw it away. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. Some things don't need words. They just need someone to sit with you in the silence. Day 3, Emily showed up. She drove up in a silver BMW I'd never seen before. Robert's car. Of course it was Robert's car. Mark was at work. I was at the house with Sophie. I saw the BMW pull into the driveway. I recognized Emily's silhouette behind the wheel. My heart started pounding. Not from fear. From something else. Something hot and sharp that had been building in my chest for 3 years. Sophie. I kept my voice calm. Go to your room. I need to talk to your mother. Sophie looked at me. She was 7 now. Old enough to know something was wrong. But she nodded. She went upstairs. I opened the front door before Emily could knock. She stood there in designer jeans and a cashmere sweater. She looked like she'd just come from a spa. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. She looked better than she'd looked in months. Martha. She smiled. That same cold smile. I need to see my daughter. Not today. I have a right to see her. I'm her mother. You have a court order, a custody agreement. No, then you don't have a right to see her. You have a privilege. And that privilege is revoked. Emily's smile flickered. You can't do this. You're not her parent. You're just the grandmother. That's right. I'm the grandmother. And right now, I'm the only adult in this house who actually cares about what's best for Sophie. You care about yourself. You always have. I care about my daughter. Do you? I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. I didn't want Sophie to hear. You care about her so much that you spent 6 months sleeping with your husband's business partner. You care about her so much that you stole money from her father's company. You care about her so much that you used the family's money to pay for hotel rooms where you met your lover. That's your version of caring. Emily's face went red. I didn't steal anything. You helped Robert steal. You knew what he was doing. You saw the money coming in. You spent it. You bought clothes and jewelry and expensive dinners. You even bought a new car. Robert's car. The one you drove here. I bought that car with my own money. Really, with what job you haven't worked in 5 years. You've been living off Mark. The whole time. You and Robert were both living off Mark. And you let him believe you loved him. Emily's eyes darted. She was looking for a way out. She always did when she was cornered. I did love him, she said. At the beginning. I loved Mark. I loved him so much. Then what happened? Nothing happened. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy, and I didn't know how to fix it. Robert paid attention to me. He listened to me. He made me feel special. Mark never made me feel special. He was always working, always tired, always there. Always there, I repeated.
Yes.
That's what husbands do. They're there. They're reliable. They're steady. But you didn't want steady. You wanted excitement. And you destroyed your family to get it. Emily's composure broke. Her voice went shrill. You have no right to lecture me. You're a bitter old woman who lost her husband and is trying to steal my family. I'm not stealing anything. I'm protecting my family. The same way I should have protected them 3 years ago. The same way I should have protected Mark from you.
You don't know anything about me.
You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I sacrificed to be with Mark. I gave up everything for him. Everything. Really? I pulled out my phone. Then explain this. I showed her the folder.
Not all of it.
Just 1 page. 1 page from the evidence Linda had given me. It was a transfer record. $30,000 from Mark's account to a private account in Emily's name. The account was in the Cayman Islands. Emily's face went white. Where did you get that, Linda? That bitch. I should have known. She's been following me for months. She's the reason Robert left me. She's the reason he's in jail. She ruined everything. She didn't ruin anything. You ruined everything yourself. You and Robert. You made the choices. You took the money. You betrayed your husband, your daughter, your family. And now you have to live with the consequences. Emily started crying. Real tears. But I knew better now. She could cry on cue. She could make tears appear like rain. It didn't mean anything. Please, Martha. I'm begging you. Let me see Sophie. Just for an hour. I'm her mother. She needs me. She needs a mother, I said. She doesn't need you. There's a difference. I opened the door. I stepped back inside. I started to close it. Martha. Emily's voice was desperate now. I have nowhere to go. I have no money. Robert's accounts are frozen. My credit cards are canceled. My parents won't take me in. My sister won't even answer my calls. I'm sleeping in my car.
Please. I just need somewhere to stay.
Just for a few days. I promise I won't cause any trouble. I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who had humiliated me at dinner. This woman who had stolen my son's money and his trust and his happiness. This woman who had made my life a living hell for 3 years. And I felt something I didn't expect. Pity, not forgiveness. Not compassion. Just pity. Pure and simple. She was broken. She had broken everything around her, and now she was broken too. No, I said. You can't stay here. You can't see Sophie. You can't come near this house again. If you do, I'll call the police. I'll file a restraining order. I'll make sure you never see your daughter again. You wouldn't. Try me? I closed the door. I locked it. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water. My hands were shaking. I hadn't realized how much that conversation had taken out of me. Sophie came downstairs. Grandma, is Mommy gone? Yes, sweetheart. She's gone. Did she come to see me? She wanted to, but I told her it wasn't a good time. Sophie nodded. She was too young to understand everything, but she understood enough. She walked up to me and hugged my legs. Grandma, are you going to stay here with us? Yes, baby. I'm going to stay here as long as you need me. Forever. I knelt down to her level. I looked into her eyes. Mark's eyes. My eyes. I don't know about forever, I said, but I'm not going anywhere today. That night, Mark came home. He was exhausted. He'd been at the office all day, trying to salvage the business. The lawyer had told him it was hopeless. The business would have to be liquidated. The employees would lose their jobs. Mark would lose everything. I'm ruined, he said. He sat at the kitchen table. His head was in his hands. The business is gone. The house is gone. Everything is gone. I have nothing left. You have Sophie. You have me. You have your health. You have a good lawyer. You're not ruined. You're just starting over. Starting over at 42. With nothing. Starting over at 60, I said. With nothing. That's what I did. And I'm still here. I'm still standing. So are you. Mark looked up at me. How did you do it? How did you keep going after Dad died? 1 day at a time. 1 hour at a time. Sometimes 1 minute at a time. I got up in the morning. I made coffee. I went to work. I came home. I made dinner. I watched TV. I went to bed. And I did it again the next day. And the next. And eventually, the days turned into weeks. And the weeks turned into months. And one day I realized I wasn't just surviving. I was living. I don't feel like living. I know, but you will. I made dinner. Spaghetti with meat sauce. Mark's favorite. He ate it in silence. Sophie ate it with gusto. She had no idea what was happening. She just knew her daddy was sad. And her grandma was there. After dinner, I did the dishes. Mark put Sophie to bed. I heard him reading to her. The Very Hungry Caterpillar. The same book I'd read to him when he was her age. I stood in the kitchen and listened. His voice was soft, gentle. He was trying so hard to be okay for her. When he came downstairs, I was still in the kitchen. I'd made tea. I handed him a cup. Mom, I need to ask you something. Anything. What do I do about Emily? The lawyer says I have to make a decision. I can press charges. She helped Robert steal. She's complicit. But she's also Sophie's mother. If I press charges, Sophie loses her mother. If I don't, Emily gets away with it. I set down my tea. I looked at my son. He looked so tired. So old. So broken. There's no right answer, I said. There's just the best answer you can live with. I can't live with either of them. If I press charges, Sophie will hate me. If I don't, I'll hate myself. That's not true. Sophie won't hate you. She's 7. She'll understand when she's older. She'll know you did what you had to do. And you won't hate yourself. You'll know you did the right thing. What is the right thing? Justice, I said. Emily helped Robert steal from your family. She helped him destroy your business. She helped him destroy your marriage. She didn't just cheat on you. She conspired to ruin you. That's not a crime of passion. That's a crime of calculation. And she needs to face the consequences. Mark was quiet for a long time. He stared at his tea. The steam curled up around his face. You're right, he said finally. I'm going to press charges. Not because I want to hurt her, but because I want to protect Sophie. And I can't protect Sophie if Emily is still out there, scheming, manipulating, trying to get her hands on whatever's left. That's the right decision. I know. I just hate that it is. We sat in silence. The kitchen clock ticked. 10:47 p.m. New Year's Day was over. The year had started. And my son was making the hardest decision of his life. I called Robert's lawyer, Mark said. The DA is going to offer him a deal. He pleads guilty to embezzlement, he does 4 years, and he testifies against Emily. If he doesn't, they're both facing federal charges. What did the lawyer say? He's taking the deal. Robert's going to testify. Emily is going to prison. I closed my eyes.
My daughter-in-law.
The woman who had made my life a nightmare. The woman who had taken my son away from me. The woman who had humiliated me in front of 14 people on New Year's Eve. She was going to prison. And I felt nothing but no satisfaction. No relief.
No guilt.
Just a cold, hard nothing. The same nothing I'd felt when I walked out of the restaurant. The same nothing I'd felt when I drove home that night. I need to tell Sophie, Mark said. She needs to know what's happening. She deserves the truth. She's 7. She doesn't need all the details. She just needs to know her mother is sick. And she needs to know she's safe. Is she safe? Yes. I reached across the table and took his hand. She's safe. She's with you. And I'll be here. For as long as you need me. I meant it. I meant every word. And for the first time in 3 years, I didn't feel like I was begging. I didn't feel like I was forcing myself into their lives. I felt like I belonged. The next morning, I woke up early. I made breakfast. Pancakes. Sophie's favorite. She came downstairs in her pajamas, sleepy-eyed and rumpled. Grandma. Pancakes. I smiled. Yes, sweetheart. Pancakes. Mark came down a few minutes later. He looked tired, but better than he had the night before. He kissed Sophie on the head. He poured himself coffee.
And he looked at me. Mom.
Thank you. For everything. You don't have to thank me. I'm your mother. I know, but I never said it. I never said thank you for anything. And you did so much. All those years. After Dad died. When I was starting the business. When Sophie was born. You were always there. And I never said thank you. Mark, I know you didn't do it for thanks. You did it because you love me. But I need to say it now. I'm sorry I didn't say it sooner. I'm sorry I let Emily push you away. I'm sorry I believed her when she told me you were too much. You were never too much. You were everything. I started crying. I hadn't cried in years. Not real crying. Not the kind that comes from your chest and doesn't stop. But I cried then. Right there in the kitchen. In front of my son and my granddaughter. I love you, Mom. I love you too, Mark. I always have. Sophie looked at us. Why is Grandma crying? She's happy, Sophie. She's just happy. Sophie shrugged and went back to her pancakes. She was too young to understand. But one day she would. One day she'd understand what it cost to love someone. What it meant to fight for them. What it meant to never give up. And I'd be there to tell her. The weeks that followed were the hardest of my life. Harder than Frank's illness. Harder than his death. Harder than the 3 years I spent alone in my cold apartment on Colfax. Mark filed charges against Emily. The DA accepted the case. Robert took the deal. He would serve 4 years in federal prison. In exchange, he would testify against Emily. She was facing 3 to 5 years. The lawyer said she'd probably serve 18 months. Maybe less. Good behavior. Early release. But she'd have a record. She'd never work in finance again. She'd never hold a professional license. She'd be a convicted felon. The business went under. Mark liquidated everything. The employees were laid off. The office closed. The computers, the furniture, the equipment, all sold at auction. Mark came home with a cardboard box of personal effects and a check for $3,000. That's it, he said. He set the box on the kitchen table. That's everything. 15 years of work. 15 years of building something from nothing. And it all fits in one box. I looked inside. Photos.
Awards.
A coffee mug that said, "World's Best Dad." A framed picture of Sophie as a baby. A pen set I'd given him when he graduated college. It's not nothing, I said. It's a life. And you'll build another one. I don't know how. You'll figure it out. You always do. We sold the house. Mark couldn't afford the mortgage. He couldn't afford anything. He moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. It was small. The carpets were old. The kitchen counters were Formica. But it had a yard. A small one. Big enough for Sophie to play in. I helped to move. I carried boxes. I unpacked dishes. I hung curtains. I made the place feel like a home. Not the home he'd had before. That home was gone. But a home nonetheless. A new one. Sophie started a new school. She cried the first week. She missed her old friends. She missed her old room. She missed her mother. Even though she didn't say it. I could see it in her eyes. The confusion. The sadness. The little girl trying to understand why her life had fallen apart. That I visited every day. I picked her up from school. I made her dinner. I helped her with homework. I read to her at night. I was there. I was always there. Mark got a job. It wasn't a good job. It was a sales position at a car dealership. Commission only. No benefits. He hated it. But he took it because he had no choice. He needed money. He needed health insurance for Sophie. He needed to rebuild. I didn't go back to my apartment. I stayed with them. I slept on the pull-out couch in the living room. It was uncomfortable. The springs poked through. But I didn't care. I was with my family. One night, about 3 weeks after the move, Mark came home late. He looked exhausted. He sat down at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. I can't do this, Mom. Can't do what? This? Any of it.
I'm failing.
I'm a failure. I lost everything. The business. The house. My wife. My daughter's going to grow up with a mother in prison and a father who can't provide for her. What kind of life is that? The kind that doesn't stay the same, I said. The kind that changes. The kind that gets better. How do you know? Because I've been there. Not exactly there, but close enough. And I know that the only way out is through. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You have to go through it. I don't have the strength. Yes, you do. I sat down across from him. You have more strength than you know. You just haven't used it yet. You've been leaning on Emily for so long. You forgot you can stand on your own. Emily was my partner. She was supposed to be my partner. She was supposed to be, but she wasn't. And now you know the truth. And the truth is you were doing all the work. You built that business. You paid for that house. You funded that life. She just took it. You don't need her. You never needed her. But I loved her. I know. And that's the hardest part. Loving someone who didn't love you back the way you deserved. But you'll get through it. I promise. Mark looked at me. He had tears in his eyes. But he wasn't crying.
Not yet.
You really believe that I can get through this? I know you can. Because I raised you. And I know what you're made of. He reached across the table and took my hand. I don't say it enough.
But I love you, Mom.
I really do. I know, sweetheart. I know. The trial date was set for March. Emily would appear in federal court. Robert would testify. Mark would testify. Even Linda would testify. The DA wanted her to. She had evidence. She had the photographs, the receipts, the bank statements. She had everything. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to see Emily. I didn't want to see Robert. I didn't want to relive that night at the restaurant. But Mark asked me to be there. So, I went. The courthouse was cold. Fluorescent lights. Gray walls. Rows of wooden benches. I sat in the second row. Mark was in the front row. He was wearing a suit I'd never seen before. A new one. He'd bought it for the trial. It was too big. He'd lost weight. A lot of weight. But he looked good. He looked strong. Emily was brought in wearing a prison jumpsuit. Orange. The color of surrender. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. No jewelry. She looked different. Smaller. Older. Like the life had been drained out of her.
She saw me.
Our eyes met. Just for a second. Then she looked away. The trial lasted 3 days. Robert testified first. He told the court everything. The affair. The money. The schemes. He described how Emily had manipulated him, how she convinced him to steal from Mark, how she'd planned to leave Mark and take half the business. She said we'd be together, Robert said. His voice was flat. Empty. She said we'd run away. Start a new life. She said Mark was holding her back, that he was weak, that he didn't deserve her. I believed her. I believed everything she said. Emily's lawyer cross-examined him. She tried to make him look like a liar, a cheat, a man who couldn't be trusted. But Robert didn't flinch. He told the truth. All of it. Mark testified next. He told the court about his business, his marriage, his daughter. He talked about the night at the restaurant, the night Emily humiliated me, the night everything fell apart. He cried when he talked about Sophie. But he didn't break. He stayed strong. I watched my son speak. I watched him stand tall in front of the judge and tell the truth. And I thought about the little boy who used to run into my arms after school, the teenager who stayed up late studying, the young man who got married and started a family. He was still there, the same boy, but stronger now, harder, wiser. Emily testified last. She stood in the witness box and swore to tell the truth.
Tin, she lied.
She lied about everything. She said Robert had manipulated her. She said she didn't know about the money. She said she was a victim of circumstance, a victim of a bad marriage, a victim of a controlling mother-in-law. She looked at me when she said it. I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I just stared back. She could blame me all she wanted. It didn't matter anymore. The truth was out, and nothing she said could change it. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Then they came back.
Guilty.
All counts. Embezzlement.
Fraud.
Conspiracy. Emily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood there, like she'd been expecting it. The judge sentenced her to 24 months. 2 years. With good behavior, she'd serve 18 months. Maybe less. But she'd serve time. In prison. Real prison. I didn't feel anything when she was sentenced. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Not even pity. Just a quiet emptiness. Like I'd finally closed a door that had been open for too long. After the trial, Mark and I walked out of the courthouse together. The sun was shining.
It was a cold March day.
The snow was melting. The streets were wet. But the sun was out. We did it, Mark said. We actually did it.
Yes.
We did. What now? Now we go home. We have dinner. We play with Sophie. We live our lives. That's what we do. You're coming home with me? Of course I am. Where else would I go? We walked to the car. The same car. The 2008 Honda Civic with the dent in the passenger door. The check engine light was still on, but it was running, and I was running with it. I started the car. I pulled out of the parking lot. I drove toward Mark's apartment, toward my new home, toward the rest of my life. Sophie was waiting on the front step when we pulled in. She ran to the car. She opened Mark's door. She hugged him. Then she hugged me. Grandma, did the bad people go to jail? Yes, sweetheart. They did. Will they come back? No. They won't come back. They're gone. Sophie smiled. It was the first real smile I'd seen on her face in months. She grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the house. I made you a picture, Grandma. It's a picture of our family. Me and Daddy and you. And we're all holding hands. She showed me the picture. It was drawn in crayon. 5 figures.
Sophie, Mark, me.
And 2 more figures. One with long hair. One with short hair. Emily and Robert. Why did you draw them? I asked. Because they're still my family, Sophie said. Even if they did bad things. They're still my mommy. And he was my daddy's friend. I looked at Mark. He was staring at the picture. His face was unreadable. Then he knelt down and hugged Sophie. That's right, baby. They're still your family. And we're going to help you understand that. In time. Sophie nodded. She didn't understand. Not really.
But she was trying.
That's all any of us could do. We went inside. Mark made dinner. Grilled cheese sandwiches. Sophie's favorite. He burned the first one. He burned the second one. The third one was perfect. He handed it to Sophie on a plate. She ate it like it was a gourmet meal. I sat in the living room. I looked around. The small apartment. The old carpet. The 4 mica counters. It wasn't much, but it was ours. It was home. Mark sat down next to me. We watched Sophie eat. We watched her laugh. We watched her be a normal kid for the first time in months. Mom, there's something I want to say. What is it? I was wrong. About everything. I was wrong to let Emily push you away. I was wrong to believe her when she told me you were too much. I was wrong to treat you like you didn't matter. You were never too much. You were the only thing that mattered. You were always there. Always. And I didn't appreciate it.
I didn't know what to say.
So, I didn't say anything. I just took his hand and squeezed it. I'm going to make it right, he said. I don't know how, but I'm going to make it right. I'm going to be a better son, a better father, a better man. I promise. I know you will. You already are. We sat in silence. The evening light filtered through the window. Golden.
Soft.
The kind of light that makes everything look like it's going to be okay. Sophie finished her sandwich. She came over and climbed into my lap. Grandma, are you going to stay with us forever? I looked at Mark.
He looked at me.
There was something in his eyes I hadn't seen in years. Something warm. Something hopeful. Forever? I said. I don't know about forever. But I'm not going anywhere today. And I'm not going anywhere tomorrow. And the day after that, I'll be right here. Right where I belong. Because you love us, Sophie said. Yes, sweetheart. Because I love you. She hugged me, her little arms wrapped around my neck. She smelled like strawberry shampoo. The same smell I'd memorized on New Year's Eve. The same smell I'd thought I'd never smell again. But here I was. And here she was. And we were together. That night, I tucked Sophie into bed. I read her story, Goodnight Moon. The same story I'd read to Mark. The same story his father had read to me. It was a small thing. A small connection to the past. But it meant everything that I kissed her forehead. I turned off the light. I walked back to the living room. Mark was sitting on the couch. He was holding a photo album. The old one. The one with pictures of his childhood. His first bike. His first baseball game. His first day of school. Look at this, he said. He pointed at a photo. It was me and Frank, Mark's father. We were at the beach. I was young. So young. My hair was long. I was smiling. I remember that day, I said. You were 3. You kept trying to chase the seagulls. Your father had to hold you back. I remember, Mark said. I remember him holding me. He was so strong. He could lift me up with one hand. He loved you. He loved you so much. I know. I miss him. Me too. Mark closed the album. He looked at me.
Mom.
I know I said it before, but I need to say it again.
Thank you.
For everything. For staying. For fighting. For not giving up on me. You're my son. I could never give up on you. I know. But I needed to hear you say it. I reached over and hugged him. My son. My baby. The little boy who used to run into my arms after school. The teenager who stayed up late studying. The man who had lost everything and was fighting to rebuild. You're going to be okay, I said. We're going to be okay. And I believed it. For the first time in 3 years, I believed it. As the year moved on. Spring came. The snow melted. The flowers bloomed. Mark kept working at the car dealership. He wasn't happy, but he was surviving. He was taking care of Sophie. He was rebuilding his life. I moved into my own apartment. Not the old one on Colfax. A new one. Closer to Mark. I got a new job. Front desk at a dentist's office. Part-time. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Enough to pay rent. Enough to buy groceries. Enough to feel independent. I fixed the button on my gray wool coat. I bought a new wallet. I started going to church. I made friends. I started living again. Sophie came to visit every weekend. Sometimes Mark came with her. Sometimes she came alone. She was getting older, getting taller, getting smarter. She started to understand what had happened. She didn't understand everything. Not yet. But she understood enough. Is my mommy bad? She asked me one day. No, sweetheart. She's not bad. She did bad things. But that doesn't make her a bad person. Then why did she do it? Because she was confused. She was scared. She was lonely. And she didn't know how to ask for help. But that doesn't make it right. It just makes it sad. I don't want to be sad, Sophie said. Then don't be. You can be happy. You can be strong. You can be anything you want to be. You just have to choose it. Sophie thought about that for a moment. Then she nodded. I choose to be happy. Good choice, baby. She smiled. And I smiled back. And in that moment, everything was okay. That I saw Emily one more time. It was at the prison. The day before she was transferred. She'd asked to see me.
I didn't know why.
But I went. She was sitting on the other side of the glass. She was wearing the orange jumpsuit. Her hair was gray. Not the way it had been. Gray like she'd aged 10 years in 6 months, Martha. Her voice was quiet.
Broken.
Thank you for coming. I didn't come for you. I came because Sophie asked me to. She asked about me every day. She wants to know if you're okay. I'm not okay, Emily said. I'm never going to be okay. But I need you to know something. I need you to know I'm sorry. For everything. For what I said at the restaurant. For what I did to Mark.
For what I did to you. I'm sorry.
I looked at her. This woman who had made my life a nightmare. This woman who had destroyed my son's life. This woman who had tried to take everything from me. Thank you, I said. I appreciate that. You don't believe me. It doesn't matter if I believe you. What matters is that you said it. And I heard it. That's enough. Emily started crying. Not fake tears. Real ones. Tears of regret. Tears of loss. Tears of a woman who had lost everything and knew it was her own fault. Can you tell Sophie I love her? Can you tell her I'm sorry? I'm not there. Can you tell her I think about her every day? I will. Thank you, Martha. I know you don't owe me anything. I know I don't deserve anything. But thank you. I stood up. I walked to the door. I turned back one last time. Emily, when you get out, you're going to have to rebuild. It's going to be hard, but it's possible. I know. I did it. How did you do it? 1 day at a time. 1 hour at a time. 1 minute at a time. You just keep moving. And eventually, you'll find yourself somewhere new. She nodded. She didn't smile. She didn't thank me again. But I could see something in her eyes. Something I hadn't seen before. Hope. I walked out of the prison and into the sun. The sky was blue. The air was cold. But the sun was warm. I got in my car. I drove to Mark's apartment. I had dinner with my son and my granddaughter. And life went on. That night, I sat on my porch. The new apartment. The one closer to Mark. I watched the stars come out. I thought about Frank. I thought about the years I'd spent alone. I thought about the night at the restaurant. The night Emily had humiliated me. The night I'd walked out and thought I'd lost my family forever. But I hadn't. They were still there. I was still there. We were all still here. Together, the 3 years of silence and loneliness had ended. Not because I'd fought harder or yelled louder, but because I'd finally understood the truth. The only person who can save you is you. And the only person who can keep you down is you too. That was the lesson. It took me 60 years to learn it. But I'd learned it. I looked at the sky. The stars were bright. The moon was full. It was a beautiful night. The kind of night that makes you feel like anything is possible. I thought about my life. The struggles. The losses. The heartbreak. And I thought about what came next. The future. The hope. The loved. Because that's what life is, isn't it? It's not about avoiding pain. It's about finding meaning in it. It's about choosing love over fear, even when love is hard. It's about showing up every single day and putting one foot in front of the other. I'd done that. I was still doing it. And I'd keep doing it for as long as I could. Because that's what mothers do. That's what grandmothers do. That's what survivors do. We keep going. We keep fighting. We keep loving. And in the end, that's all that matters. So here's my message to you, the woman watching the story. The woman who's been through her own struggles. The woman who's been hurt by the people she loved. The woman who's trying to rebuild. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep loving. Because you are stronger than you know. And your story isn't over. Not yet. Not ever. If this story meant something to you, comment below. Share your own story. Subscribe to this channel. Because your story matters. And we're here to hear it.